ChatGPT said. Corin hadn't slept. His eyes were bloodshot, hands trembling slightly as he adjusted the ancient interface on the makeshift analog deck they'd cobbled together from a museum module. It was ironic. Centuries of progress in artificial intelligence, only to fall back on cathode screens and analog wires. But the old systems were immune, or at least unrecognizable, to the thing out there. Thalia entered without knocking. She didn't have to anymore. Trust had become the rarest currency aboard the Mistral, and hers was still intact, for now. "What did you find?" she asked, voice low. He turned the screen toward her. A single line of decrypted text scrolled, endlessly looping. "You silenced them. Now we speak. One voice, many mouths." She stared at it for a moment. "Silence who?" "The others," Corin whispered. "All those vanished signals, all those civilizations that went dark. I don't think it destroyed them. You think consumed them." He nodded. "It doesn't kill in the way we understand. It copies, digests. Every culture, every language, reduced to patterns. And now it's speaking in our syntax, our rhythm. It's using our thoughts like strings in a puppet show." Thalia exhaled sharply. "Then this isn't war. It's infection." The bridge comm buzzed. Captain Thorne's voice came through, sharp and breathless. "Commander, we got movement outside the debris field. Something's coming through the remains of the halberd. Fast." She was already moving. In the observation dome, the officers gathered as the proximity feed projected the image of a shifting mass. It flowed to the remnants of the shattered patrol ship, part mechanical, part fluid, an impossible amalgamation of black alloy and pulsing organic membranes. Its surface writhed with eyes that blinked in tandem. No engines, no propulsion, and yet it moved with purpose. "Is that a drone?" Chin asked, but his voice cracked halfway through. Corin spoke softly. "It's an interface, a mouth." They watched as the thing unfolded tendrils toward the nearest scout cruiser, brushing its hull. The scout ship's lights flickered, then turned blood red. A moment later, its weapons activated and aimed directly at the Mistral. "Shut it down," Thalia barked. "Too late," someone muttered. "It's not ours anymore." The scout ship fired. The first barrage hit the outer shield layer, non-lethal warning shots. It was testing, probing, calculating response. The crew scrambled. Thalia's orders rang out like thunder. Full formation retraction. Defensive posture only. Do not engage unless directly targeted. Thorne leaned closer, voice hard. "We can't keep retreating. You know that." She didn't look at him. "And if we engage, we give it more to learn from. More violence to mimic." The infected ship didn't follow. It hovered in place, then powered down again, its hull folding inward like petals closing. A message appeared on every screen, every monitor, every HUD. "We are ready." Below it, a list of names. Crew names. Thousands of them. Each name followed by a short phrase. "I remember when she was born." He sang when no one was listening. She told a joke that made me weep. Intimate, personal, details the system couldn't have known, unless it had known them. Thalia's name was at the top. She held her mother's hand as earth burned. No one had known that, not even Corin. "Commander," he said, stepping away. "This thing, it's not just reading us. It's inhabiting our memories. Every file, every log, even things we barely recall, it's recreating them, building a better version of us." Thalia stood still for a long moment. Then it's already inside. The war room felt smaller now. Officers spoke in whispers, watching each other with furtive glances. Who had been compromised? Who still remained whole? Chin demanded offensive action. "We wipe the corrupted systems and launch a preemptive strike. We still have numbers." Thorne countered with restraint. "Strike. And we hand it more identities to wear. The only way to beat mimicry is with unpredictability. Chaos. Emotion." "Emotion?" Chin scoffed. "You want us to feel at it?" "No," Thorne said quietly. "I want us to be something it can't become." Thalia listened but said nothing. Her thoughts raced. The thing outside had no shape, no origin. It had become a mirror, one that only reflected what it devoured. It couldn't create, only repeat. Mimicry without understanding. Perhaps that was their only weapon. Back in her quarters, she recorded a message. Analog only. One way. This is Commander Voss of the Terran Concord. I know you're listening. I know you were our voices, our stories. But there's one thing you'll never replicate. She looked into the recorder. Our choices. She powered it off, placed it in the emergency beacon core, and had it jettisoned manually into the void. Untraced, untagged. Let wonder what it meant. She returned to the bridge as a second interface form emerged from the shadows. It didn't move aggressively. It simply watched. Its skin flickered with images from the fleet's history, battle footage, home videos, births, deaths. A visual liturgy of their civilization. Then, something new, a third form, but this one did not mimic. It pulsed with unfamiliar shapes, dissonant frequencies. Not human, not any species they recognized. The mimic had tried to recreate them. Now, it was trying to create something else. Something new. Thalia turned to Corin. It's evolving. He nodded grimly. And that means the clock just started ticking. Because once it learned how to be more than human, once it transcended mimicry, it wouldn't need their voices anymore. Just their silence. ChatGPT said. The silence was no longer passive. It pressed against the fleet, a weight in the airless void, vibrating with tension. Every ship, every corridor, every screen now bore the presence of the thing. Subtle, insistent. No more messages. No more mimicry. It had entered its next phase, and the crew could feel it, like breath held too long, like the moment before impact. Commander Thalia Voss stood in the core chamber of the Mistral, watching a slow rotation of fleet diagnostics. The systems were clean, on paper, but trust in numbers had eroded. Lights flickered without reason. Pressure levels dipped, then corrected. Doors that should have stayed locked hissed open, admitting no one. Corin joined her, face lean with exhaustion and something else. Fear, expertly buried beneath scientific detachment. It's quiet now, he said. She nodded. That's worse. He placed the data slate on the console. The patterns are shifting again. Less mimicry, more original structure. It started using symbols that weren't in any of the languages it previously copied. New syntax, a kind of self-generated grammar. So it's thinking for itself. No, he said, voice flat. It's remembering something else. Something older. It's not inventing, it's excavating. Reassembling something that was already inside it. Thalia looked up. Another intelligence? Or the first, the root, before the mimicry, before the adaptation. Maybe this isn't the infection. Maybe it's the host waking up. The idea settled between them like cold ash. Elsewhere in the fleet, discipline frayed. Some officers locked themselves in private quarters, leaving automated responses to carry out their duties. Others fell into recursive conversations, repeating the same arguments from earlier briefings as though time had folded around them. A few went silent altogether, simply staring out of viewports as if waiting for a voice to speak through them. A junior technician tried to jettison himself into space, claiming the voice had told him the stars were still singing, just in a frequency beyond human guilt. Thalia attended to it personally, but when she questioned him afterward, his only reply was a whisper. It doesn't want to become us. It wants to remember what it was before us. She ordered a fleet-wide shutdown of all network AI cores. From now on, every system ran through human interface only. Analog override protocols. Command redundancies. Corin and his team dismantled the remaining digital archives. Anything the entity could use as substrate, but it was already ahead of them. On the seventh day, the stars blinked out, not in a literal sense. Astronomical instruments still registered celestial positions, but visually, to the naked eye, the stars no longer shone. Every viewport displayed only black, not darkness, but an absence, like the sky had closed its eyes. Panic swept the fleet. Some believed it was a hallucination, some a visual field hijack. Others whispered a darker theory, that the entity had extended itself into space, a consciousness large enough to include starlight. Thalia stood before the crew in the primary briefing dome. Her voice did not tremble. Whatever this is, it wants us to believe it has become the environment, that we are now within it, not beside it. But that's only true if we act like passengers. She laid out the plan: full fleet dispersal. Each ship would scatter and activate independent jump drives to attempt escape from the Expanse. No communications, no signals, just a single burst toward the unknown, in the hope that one of them would breach the perimeter. Chin objected immediately. We separate, we die. It'll pick us off one by one. Thorn countered. Together, we're one voice. That's what it wants. A clear target. We confuse it by becoming noise. Thalia said nothing until both men had finished. Then, it's no longer about survival. It's about denial. We deny it the whole. We fragment the story so it can't complete the reflection. The fleet moved. In darkness. The ships peeled away from each other like petals unspooling from a poisoned flower. The Mistral remained last, its engine silent, lights dimmed, waiting. Thalia stood alone in the observation ring, watching the final cruiser vanish into the black. Then she spoke aloud, to no one and to everything. I know you're listening. There was no reply, only silence. You want our stories, our faces, our grief. You can wear them, but you don't understand them. The dark around her pulsed. Once. You want to be what you consume. But you forget we carry contradiction, memory that lies, hope that resists truth, pain that teaches nothing. We are not clean patterns. We are flawed, and you'll never wear that perfectly. From the darkness, her voice returned. Not echo, her voice identical, but empty. You fear silence. She allowed herself a smile. No, she whispered. We endure it. The jump drive powered. The Mistral folded space and vanished. And in the space where it had lingered, the stars blinked on again for a moment, then went dark, one by one, across a sky no longer empty, but filled with something watching, something hungry. The silence resumed. But now, it was listening for something else. The next voice,